Good morning from Costa Rica. Sadly, that title is not clickbait. We buried one of our cats a few days ago after an encounter with a terciopelo, fer-de-lance, mean, nasty snakes, one of the deadliest snakes in the world. We knew they were here. You know, even the realtor was honest with us. He showed us photos of the snakes that had been killed on the land just before we bought it. They're here. They're in Costa Rica. You hear about them. We just didn't know they were going to be in the farmhouse with us. Stay tuned. We'll tell you more about that. So we had 2 cats bitten in total. We had one of the feral kittens that we brought with us from La Fortuna, and he died almost immediately. The snake bit him in the head, and it was from the distance between the fang marks, it seems like it might have been a young snake. And young vipers cannot control their venom as well as adult snakes. So he probably unloaded his entire venom quantity onto this poor kitten's head, and the kitten, he just died. I mean, it killed him. And his head swelled up. I'm not going to share pictures and photos of that because that's not what kind of content we upload. Whew, but it was bad. It was terrible. It was very hard on us to watch it. But the kitten sort of gave his life for Shelby. She's one of the cats we brought from Morocco because she also got bitten on the leg, and we're presuming it was the same snake because it was around the same time, and she got what we believe is called a dry bite, where they bite but they don't have any venom. We think the little snake just didn't have enough venom to give her. And so she gimped around for several days. I mean, just the bite alone was bad. Her leg swelled up. She was pitiful. We didn't know for a minute if we were going to have her or not. She survived. Shelby bounced back. She stays very close to the bus now with us. She doesn't wander like she was doing before. She was going way up the road, and she'll go up a little bit now, but she's always home before dark. She's ready to, be safe. We did hear the commotion. We knew that the snake was on the roof of the house or in the ceiling of the house. This is where the bites happened. We never found it. We are not going in that house. We did take some measures. There are things that you can do, and that's sort of why I'm posting this video, is because if you're coming to Costa Rica, especially if you want to come to homestead out in the country, you're going to need to know about these snakes because they are here. Generally, they don't get too close to human habitation, but you need to know to see them. The terciopelo is the one, it's got like a triangle pattern on its side, and they're very distinctive. You're never going to find just one snake. You're going to find multiple terciopelos, especially with their mating or whatever. You're going to find, anyway, if you find one, know there's probably another one close by. As much as we love animals, and as much of a conservatory nature as we have, I'm not putting up with these deadly snakes around our animals. That's just irresponsible. Now, all of you environmental people can scream and yell and holler and cry and post nasty comments if you want. Free country, well, some countries are free, some are not so much anymore. But you can post what you want and say what you want, but we're going to kill the snakes when we find them, because rather the snakes than our animals and us. Terciopelo bites are responsible for probably the majority of snake bites in Costa Rica that are venomous and that people are hospitalized from, and people do die from it. There's an antivenom. I'm hearing rumors that there's a shortage of antivenom in Panama, so it may be headed this way. Terciopelo venom is hemotoxic, which means it attacks the blood and tissues. And there's a video on YouTube. I'm going to try to find the link and I'll put it somewhere up there somewhere, of a guy who drew some of his blood. It was a laboratory setting, but he took some of his blood and he put it in a petri dish and he put terciopelo venom onto the blood and literally sat there and watched his blood cells explode. So it is a very bad venom. You don't want to get bit by one of these things, that is for certain. So one of the things that local people do, and Costa Ricans and experienced expats do, is they keep everything around their homes trimmed very close to the ground. You don't see a lot of jungle yards here. You want the jungle, you like the jungle, it's all pretty, but you better keep the ground very, very clean and cut close, the grass clipped just almost to the dirt. Now the grass here is really neat in that when you start keeping it cut close, it spreads. It doesn't always look like a hayfield after you first cut it. It will to start with if it's gotten tall because it's all stalky and everything. But if you keep it cut and keep it trimmed almost to the dirt, it'll spread out very low and be very green and pretty. It looks gorgeous. It's pretty. So that's our goal here, and really was our goal all along, but we accelerated the process a little. We called a neighbor to come in with a string trimmer and help us get everything around the house scalped just as close to the ground as he could. And it turned it from this green, lush paradise to what looks like a dead hayfield. It's not dead grass. That grass is coming back already. It's sprouting up, and we're just going to keep after it, and we're going to cut it closer and closer and closer over time until we get it down to a level that no snakes can hide. And even the plants and the banana trees, right now there's a lot of banana leaf litter on the ground. Perfect place for these nasty animals to hide. We're going to get that cleaned up. We're going to use it in hugelkultur, raised beds. Another video, not this one. But we're going to use it in our garden, so we're not disposing of it or burning it or anything like that. We're just steering clear of it until we can get out here with a rake and get it all cleaned up. It just takes time. It's just Michelle and me. And mostly it's just Michelle because I'm half crippled with lupus and rheumatoid. I supervise really well. I'm an excellent supervisor, and so is Lolly. Lolly has no problem sitting up in a tree and watching him work. She thinks it's great fun. We planted the cassava. We just put it right in the ground because it's a big root plant, big tuber plant. We put it right in the ground. And of course, the leaf cutter ants have already been into it and they've demolished it. They didn't kill it. I mean, the root system, they can't get to the roots, and these things, you can stick sticks in the ground and they'll live and it'll all come back. It'll be fine. We're not tolerating those leaf cutter ants anymore either. So poor leafcutter babies, we've got a fungicide we're going to use, and we're going to kill this nest because they will not leave our food crops alone. If it was just ornamental plants, that would be one thing, but this is food that we're going to be eating and potentially over time marketing and selling. We can't have that here, so it's best to just go ahead and nip it in the bud. I tried to run them back. I tried everything. Everybody told me it wouldn't work. It didn't work. So we're just going to have to kill this particular colony of ants. And I hate it. I do. But they have the entire jungle to eat. They don't have to come in and eat our stuff, our food, our plants. My camino trees that they ate are coming back slowly. The one that was so badly damaged has got new leaves on it. Very slow, very, very slow process. Then they got my mammochino trees that were doing so good. And I think they're alive. I think they're okay, but it's really hard to tell. They like this arrowhead philodendron really well. They've choked it down. They choked my split leaf philodendron down. I don't think that they're killing them. I think they'll come back, but we've got to get rid of the ants or they will kill them over time. They will eventually kill these plants. So we've got to do it. These are things that if you are coming to Costa Rica and you are wanting to homestead out on farmland in the mountains, away from the paved roads and all of that, which we advise. I mean, it's a good thing to do. We're not sorry. We are not sorry. Our paradise is not spoiled by a few scaly things. I mean, we feel bad for the kitten. But All in all, it could have been worse. He didn't suffer long. I mean, he was gone within a couple of hours. It's still paradise for us. We still are glad we did this. We're not a bit sorry. We don't, we don't sit and say, oh no, we have snakes in our house. No, we know what to do about it. It's just common sense. If you have thoughts of coming to Costa Rica and homestead, do it. Don't let this discourage you. There are just things you have to know to manage the situation. As I said, the realtor Charlie, he sent us photos of the snakes that were killed here before we ever closed. I mean, he was taking a risk. I knew that they would be here, so I, sent him back a smiley face and said, yeah, I'm glad they're gone. I'm glad they killed them. There's probably 5 times that many still there. We know, but he was honest. Love this guy. He's great. We're more about him in some future videos. Just an aside, like all this property, Dakota's sitting up on the hill. I don't know if you can see him, but if you see Dakota on the chain, he does not live on that chain. I put him on that chain because there's a guy across the street working in his field, which is also for sale. Working over there, and Dakota will go over there and get in the toxin, whatever he's spraying. So that particular plot of land is not going to be ideal for permaculture for about 8 years, but it's still a good homestead spot. You'll see it. I will post a video, but I do know that they've sprayed chemicals of some sort on there. There's a difference between homesteading and permaculture, and different guidelines and all that. And I'm not clear on all of that, but I do know you can't have chemicals on a land that you're going to do permaculture on for a while, or say it's organic for years. This hectare behind me is for sale, and Charlie has it listed, and it's a very nice piece of property. We've got some people that are already going to come and look at it. We don't know if they're going to actually buy it or not, but it's very reasonably priced. I won't go into all that here because that's a different video, but if you want to be our neighbor, there's a great piece of land right there. It's going to have snakes on it. Where you're going to put your home or your house or whatever, there's going to be a lot of activity, and you're going to be clearing things out, and the snakes are going to leave, and it's not going to be a big nightmare. You just have to know what to do. You have to know to keep your grass cut very, very close. You have to know not to let things pile up. You can't have clutter lying around. You can't have places to hide, which is all good anyway because it makes a very nice looking home. I mean, you want your home to be nice and manicured and neat, and that's exciting to me, that I have the means and potential and excuse to have my place looking all neat. We'll get there with time. And no snakes. Some more of my plants that I want to update you on. My tomato plants did die. 2 of the 3 died. Actually, 3 of the 3 died. Then 1 more came up because I always put multiple seeds in, just because they don't always sprout. So I have 1 tomato plant, the other 2 that got really leggy, and I started them under inappropriate lighting conditions. They did pass away, unfortunately, but that's okay because I have plenty more seeds, and we're not on the clock here like we are in areas that have seasons. I mean, they'll sprout when they sprout and grow when they grow. Everything else is doing okay. We've got the zinnias coming up here. My soursop trees never even broke the surface. I don't know what's going on with that, but they appear to be soundly asleep. But everything else is doing okay. Keep you updated as we get the plants in the ground for food. We're going, like I said, we've got the yuca in. We've got to get the ants off of it. We're going to get my curcumin in next, and we're just going to do a little bit at a time until we have cats off frame there. We're going to do a little bit at a time. We've got about half an acre that we're looking at fencing, enclosing completely, and turning that into our yard where we have our tended gardens and our ornamentals and our personal food crops and things like that. That's getting into yet another development. Now, again, another video, but a little preview. We are partnering with a rescue organization here in Costa Rica. As many of you know, I spent over a decade in rescue in Appalachia in the U.S. I've got a novel that came out of that, a really gritty maybe triggering novel for some. I'll put the links in the description. You can go read my books. I've got 2 other books beside that, but one of these days I'll write again. I just have to finish with the snakes and the ants and all of these things. But I didn't really plan on getting back into rescue again, and I'm not. I'm not going to get involved in dealing with money. I'm not going to get involved in dealing with people, because we all know I'm not really good at dealing with people who are not nice to animals. I'm kind of mean, and I'm kind of awful on social media to people who are not nice to animals, and I have a reputation for that. So we're going to let that lie. We're going to leave that just laying there, let some moss grow on it. I'm just going to do what I feel like I do best. I'm going to handle the animals. I'm going to take animals to foster. That's temporarily. They belong to the rescue, not to me. And you probably hear a couple of them over there right now. They're playing. We'll foster them, and I can watch their behaviors and see how they interact with my pack, and see if there's any problem that we can correct, or if this dog is going to be adoptable, or what's going to be down the road with that. To do that, I have to have a fence. And the rescue, who I'm going to get her permission before I name them publicly. But there's going to be many more videos, so you'll get a chance to know who we're working with if she wants us to do that. We don't accept dogs. We don't accept, you can't bring dogs to us. It all goes through the rescue. She deals with me. I don't deal with the adopters. I don't deal with the people surrendering dogs. I don't deal with that at all. So, and we're going to be doing just very few, like maybe 1 or 2 at a time, not piles of dogs like a shelter. That's not happening here. We're going to be working on this fence, and they're going to do a fundraiser for us. Her organization is a nonprofit in Costa Rica, and it's a 501c3 in the U.S. So you're going to hear from me. I am going to be saying, please donate, because that's how nonprofits work. And if you feel like giving, I'll provide in another video, I'll provide how to do that. If not, don't feel bad about it. Just, that's not your thing. You're here for the Costa Rica stuff. Perfect. So anyway, that's about it for today. Just a quick update. I'm sorry about my kitty cat. I wish I had better news about him, but I'm very glad that Shelby is okay. I'm glad that she is showing an abundance of caution now in her activities, and hopefully we won't have any more terrifying title headline YouTube videos. Snake bite in Costa Rica. We're all dying. No, that's not going to happen. Pura vida.